I know. I'm supposed to be some financial guru who's perfect with her money and has made no money mistakes. But I'm human, so I've made some money mistakes too. Let's get into my biggest money mistakes. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Reni. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here watching this video. Today we are going to talk about the biggest money mistakes that I have made. And the reason that I'm sharing all this, getting a little vulnerable with you, is because I think it's really helpful to learn from other people's mistakes so you don't have to make that same mistake. If I can share my mistake and it will help you avoid making that same costly mistake, I think it is very valuable. So everyone who's watching, if you have made some money mistakes, feel free to leave them down below because we can all definitely learn from you. So now let's get into the video. Mistake number one, investing in hype. Back when I was a baby investor, and for those who don't know, I have been investing for almost 10 years at this point. So I'm no longer a baby, I am a big kid now. And back when I was a baby investor, I used to pick a lot of individual stocks to invest in. Honestly, it really did work for a long period of time, and I'm sure it could still work now. I would research stocks, or I would choose a lot of stocks from recommendations from my dad. And this is actually how I was able to purchase my first house. I got really blessed and I purchased Shopify stocks when they were around the $200 mark, and they grew all the way to about the $1,200 mark. So I was eating, okay? So I was really happy with that. I bought my first house and I was good. Around 2017, there was this craze, I will say, where we realized that cannabis was about to be legalized in Canada. And because cannabis was about to be legalized, there were a lot of different companies that were popping up. I saw on all the investing blogs, online, on Twitter, everywhere, they were all saying, you need to invest in cannabis companies. You need to invest in cannabis companies. So what did I do? I got a little greedy and I was just like, yeah, let's invest in a bunch of different cannabis companies. And I didn't do research. That was my flaw. So I just invested on something based on purely hype and speculation from people. So when cannabis was legalized in 2018, I will say that I actually made quite a bit of money, and I actually doubled my money in one of these cannabis stocks that I invested in. But on the other hand, I lost a lot of money in another stock. I think I probably lost 50% of my money or more. I should probably check now, but it's probably way more than 50% of my money in that other stock. So they kind of balanced out where I didn't make any money on those trades. The reason that I'm telling you this is because at this point, you could see that I clearly abandoned all fundamentals, all research, everything I was taught just went out the window. I got a little greedy and I decided to invest in something simply based on hype. And it ended up costing me quite a bit of money. So I'm telling you this so that you can avoid doing the same thing because it's not worth it. I do have a video up here about how to research stocks. So I think that could be really helpful for you, but don't make that same mistake. Don't invest in anything because you saw it on Twitter and you just thought it sounded good. Make sure that when you choose a stock to put your money in, you are doing research before you ever decide to purchase it. So that's my first mistake. Mistake number two, not factoring in all of the costs that come with being a landlord or owning real estate. So if you've been following me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram throughout 2023, you know that I have been very vocal about my feelings about real estate. And don't get me wrong, I do not regret becoming a landlord or buying my first house. I definitely don't regret that. I think you probably wouldn't see me on this platform if I did not do that. So I think it was a really good decision to purchase a house, but I feel like I just didn't know all of the costs that would go into owning a home. And because of that, let's just say I underestimated the cost. So let me paint a picture. My mortgage was around $1,200 when I got my house, and my rent that I was charging my tenants was around $1,950. I was so happy to be like, yes, I'm making a profit on my house. I am making $750 a month. I'm so excited. Like, me, I was just really happy about it. And I was saying, what a profitable venture. This is so exciting. And if I total that up, I could say that I am making $9,000 a year on the home that I am owning. Let's just say one day I decided to sit down and factor in all my costs. And I realized that, I forgot about my maintenance costs, my condo fees, my property taxes, all of that when I decided to calculate my profit. So when I did calculate it, I realized that I wasn't actually making $9,000. I was making a lot less on that property. Again, this is not a bad thing. I'm still going to hold on to this property, but it makes me realize that maybe my rent should have been a bit higher to account for all the other costs that I have associated with my property. So my key takeaway for you from this lesson is basically to crunch the numbers when you are going into a real estate purchase. I am not here to bash real estate or say it is something that you should not get into. I'm more so just saying that you should account for all of the different costs before you go into real estate. Estimate what the property taxes will be in your property, what maintenance looks like, what the cost of getting a tenant actually is, because you actually pay 1 month of your rent if you use somebody to find your tenant. So there are a lot of different things that you have to account for when you're calculating how much profit you're actually making. And then you may see, maybe I could actually put this money elsewhere and make a lot more profit if I put it elsewhere. So just make sure you're running the numbers before you purchase your home. I actually interviewed a bunch of different homeowners and asked them to submit anonymously how much they have spent on their home. So don't take it just from me. Watch that video up here and you can see what other people have been spending on their home. So you can make an informed decision before you make a purchase like that. Now let's get into mistake number 3. It seems like all my mistakes are around real estate, but they're not actually. I have more mistakes, but let's talk about choosing fixed rate versus a variable rate mortgage. I decided to go with a variable rate mortgage. And if you don't know what this is, a variable rate mortgage is a mortgage where the interest rate of the amount that you're paying in interest will differ based on how the economy is doing and what the Bank of Canada decides to raise interest rates to. So historically, over time, these end up being cheaper because if the Bank of Canada decreases your rates, then your rate also decreases with it. However, we are in the opposite times where if the Bank of Canada increases their rates, which they have been doing for the past 2 years, then your rate will also increase as well. So if you had a fixed rate mortgage, on the other hand, your fixed rate mortgage would stay the same. Your interest rate would stay the same throughout your entire term. So let's say you got a 5-year mortgage. For the entire 5 years, you would have the same payment. I, again, decided to go with a variable rate mortgage because honestly, people told me that this was the best decision. And also, I was told that, I knew that interest rates were at an all-time low. So I was like, of course I'm gonna take advantage of this. But looking back, if I had a crystal ball and could see that the Bank of Canada would raise their interest rates so many times over the next 3 years, I personally would have just chosen to go with a fixed rate mortgage. So this is my bad. It is what it is. I chose it, so it is what it is. But I think that for stability purposes, it makes a lot of sense to go with a fixed rate mortgage depending on the time. Like right now, interest rates are really high. So I don't know if it makes sense to lock in this high interest rate for the next 5 years if you know that if we can predict that interest rates will be going down, which they are predicting interest rates will go down. But again, we never know. So if you want stability, that fixed rate is perfect for you. I'm just grateful that I had the income to be able to supplement the additional payments that I have, but a lot of people do not. So if you know that if your mortgage is actually high, even with a fixed rate, just stay with the fixed rate. Don't go a variable because you never know if it will go up or down. So that's number 3. Mistake number 4 is not double checking an accountant's work. This one pains me actually, but I'm a big believer in hiring experts to do the work that they are experts in. So whether it's a lawyer, an accountant, a videographer, a photographer, I could try and do it all myself, but I would rather pay an expert to do it. So back in 2020, I was using an accountant at that time, and I was filing my taxes with him for the year. I gave him all my documents, and that was my first year having this income that I was making as a YouTuber as well. So it was both my full-time job plus my YouTube work, and then all the expenses associated with my YouTube work. So I submitted that all to him and he filed my taxes and that was it. However, when I was having a conversation with my dad, he mentioned something about how your taxable income lowers based on the expenses, something, okay? And I was like, that's interesting. And then I went, because something he told me made me go and check what the accountant had filed. And for some reason, I realized that he had not filed all the expenses that I had submitted to him. So again, this is my fault technically because I should have double checked that everything that I sent to him was captured in the tax return that he filed. So I well, I'm not blaming him. I'm mostly blaming myself for not double checking. And even like last year, I did the same thing where I did not double check what was filed. So again, an L on my part, but this is a financial mistake that can cost you a lot, especially if the CRA is charging you taxes on anything, or charging you late fees or taxes or anything that has to do with CRA. They'd be charging a lot of money. So you need to make sure that you are double checking their work. And again, this goes for any professional that you are working with. Remember, it's good to trust people, but you should also verify afterwards as well. Ultimately, it is your money, so it is your responsibility. So now you know some of my not so glamorous financial moments that I've had. I think I know a thing or two about financial literacy and finances in general, but I do make mistakes, and I'm sure all of us do. So I hope watching this video has helped you to see the mistakes that I have made so that you can avoid them if you have not yet made them. Remember, it is really helpful if we share information with others. So if you have a mistake that you want to warn other people about, please leave it in the comment section below and share this video with a friend so that they don't make the same mistakes that I have made. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.